A text says, "You're on my mind." A bouquet from 1-800-Flowers says, "You're my everything." Heartfelt moments belong in the real world, not just your phone. For 50 years, 1-800-Flowers has helped millions of people make memories that'll last a lifetime with gifts they'll cherish forever. Their expertly curated arrangements and gift baskets ship nationwide with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Don't wait for the next big moment. Make it when you visit 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
Hey, it's Brian. Real quick note here. We had some technical difficulties with our guest for this episode, and we had to fall back on our Zoom audio for it. So apologies. The quality is not up to our usual standards. It's a little zoomy. This is 99 Cent Rental. I'm your host, Brian White, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Dave White. Hey, Dave, how you doing over there?
Oh, thank you for asking. I'm okay. Say, yesterday was No Kings protest. Did you go out and do any protesting?
I did not.
You didn't even like up and down the street. You were just you, a lone man with a sign.
Ringing a bell. Just the sign said the end is nigh.
I can't say I did either, but I did go. Because I actually kind of forgot about it, but not that I would have gone anyway. I'm not really a protest person. But as I was out on my walk yesterday, I happened to walk through Harvard Square, as I do, and shitload of people. And I was like, well, what is happening here? What is this? And then I was like, oh, right. And all the people with their signs and their flags. And I'm going to tell you what, I've been listening to the coverage of it today, talking about all the people that are, hundreds. Oh, there was like 100,000 people on Boston Common.
That's a lot of people.
That was a shitload of people. And I found it hope engendering is what I found it to be.
Yeah.
I as a, I have a bit of a taste for American history, and most people don't really have a very robust knowledge of American history. They kind of know the basics. And I feel like as I listened to all this, I was like, they may not really know all the specifics, but they get the main point. And I like that. That made me feel a little bit better. I say all of this as I'm about to move out of the country, but still.
You're fleeing for northern latitudes.
Yeah, the old green lady.
Is that what they call her?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure. And let's go with that. From here on out, Canada, the old green lady. No, it is encouraging whenever this happens, because the numbers grow every time they announce a new, hey, everybody get out there and do the thing. And everybody gets out there and does the thing, and it is really, it's encouraging, there have been elections thus far where sort of unexpected political outcomes have happened. Seats have flipped in sort of very important parts of the country that wasn't supposed to happen at. And
Florida, American Wang, as it were.
They call it the Sunshine State, Mr. Simpson. But yeah, it's the thing. I have said it. I do get caught up in the gloom and doom of things, but I have said that history tends to tilt toward justice.
You gotta nudge it. You gotta nudge it.
But the tilt may be a very gradual curve.
got to kick it in the pants the whole time.
Kind of constantly remind, but it does happen. So I guess we'll see what happens coming up in November.
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, I hope it's good. I expected, because things are so kind of crumbling down around the Trump administration. I sort of expected people would be like, we got this. And so they just sort of not do it. But
so they coast.
Yeah. Well, come on. We all know how we are as a country, as a people. So I was glad to see that was not the case.
Yeah. Well, if you, listener, were out there with your signs, or protesting, saying, hey, no kings, fuck yeah. Good for you. That's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, hey, it's hard to explain to somebody. You know what? That's actually kind of apropos for what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, sure is.
It sure is. Yeah, so it's hard to explain to someone who never had the experience what a trip to the video store was like back in the day. The shelves were choked with absolutely bizarre crap made on tiny budgets, completely divorced from any recognizable reality, and it was the best, and we intend to talk about every one of them. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us over there on the Instagram. Bring Me the Axe Pod. Dave's over there at That Queerwolf. Give us a follow. We got so much shit going on. That's kind of where you find out about all of it.
Not me this month. But lately I'm a little Instagrammed out. I'm a little social media'd out, as happens from time to time, where I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm going to go outside and look at real people. They're uglier. They're not as nice.
You got to take pictures of them and put them on the internet. Internet.
I have a very strict rule about not taking pictures of strangers.
Oh boy, yeah. And if you don't know, we got another show called Bring Me the Axe. Our latest episode covering the Lost Boys with our guest Peaches Christ is out now, and we'll be back next week with a look at curtains.
Speaking of Canada.
Fun. Speaking of Canada. Also, hey, don't sleep on Laughing in the Dark.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's a funny podcast.
Speaking of Canada.
Really speaking of Canada.
I mean, the fact that anyone is surprised that this is where my life was headed. Come on.
It's turning into an obsession.
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the two of us. It's our lovely friend Eileen from WKOR. It's Mikey from The Rewatcher. And it's us, all four of us, laughing it up, talking about Are You Afraid of the Dark, the 90s Nickelodeon horror anthology. It is... I know. Listen, I'm on the show. I know, but it's a fucking funny show.
That's what I've heard.
You should listen to it. You should try it out.
Cannot listen to my voice. It drives me insane.
You get used to it. You can also contact us directly at 99centrentalpod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a cheesy movie that you love. Would like to hear us give it the business. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there at patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. There's a couple of tiers you can join there. All paying members get ad-free episodes. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod, Do You Think I'm Spooky? The latest episode is a look at the season 2 episode, Die Hand die Verletzt.
It's a favorite. It's a favorite of mine. Takes place in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. The devil went down to New Hampshire.
Got a little bored and went home.
Not much to do in New Hampshire. This is also our monthly Bring Me the Axe Millennium Edition, which is a bonus episode in which we explore a modern horror movie. The current episode is a look at Session 9, and we're just days away from the next episode, a look at Alejandro Amenabar's The Others.
Spooky, scary.
Boys becoming men becoming wolves.
That's correct.
Actually, there's no wolves in that one, just ghosts. And all Patreon subscribers, even the free tier, get access to our Discord server. Paying members get access to additional channels, voice and video chat, and watch parties option. Drop into the Discord. Watch movies with us on a Friday night. What else you doing with your life?
Did you guys watch this movie?
We did watch this one.
Did people
like a good time. People like it.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good movie, man.
You're a fool not to.
Who could hate it? I can think of a few people.
Yeah, Republicans mostly.
Yeah, mostly. though they're too busy equating the ghouls to the Jews in this one. So
yeah, apparently.
Good God. Once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. And lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. Search us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'll be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So take a moment. Do it.
Yeah. Say something nice, please.
Costs you nothing.
Yeah. To quote Jeb Bush, please clap.
And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor, give the episode a like and leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. And just want to get that all out of the way right at the top of the show. Because, hey, Dave.
Yes.
This guy looks new.
Well, we do. We have a guest, a fine guest, not just any guest. He is an occasional actor, a writer, a podcaster, and I'm going to go ahead and say probably one of the nicest people in Hollywood that I've ever met. It's Jon Lee Brody.
Hey, John.
Welcome to our parlor.
I listened to the show, and obviously, it's first of all, it's great to see you both in real time, at least virtually. Last time I saw you all, we were seeing John Carpenter live, which is to use a word that Brian used earlier, a very $5 SAT word, apropos to the movie we're talking about today. It's great to see you on. Thank you for that lovely intro, and you two are like two of the coolest and nicest people as well. And I had a great time at John Carpenter with you all. And also the next day we had Evil Dead Live as well. The following day,
it was awesome. It was a great
Halloween weekend.
It was a great way to spend Halloween in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and then we solidified. And Brian, you were kind of like, "Hey, dude, you got to be on our podcast." Right before that, we were talking about how you usually don't have guests because of the format of the show. So having known that, and then you extending the invite, I was like, "Oh, I did something right." And it's all because we were bonding over John Carpenter merch because we were both buying They Live shirts.
Yeah, I got it right here.
I got mine too.
See, John, this is why you're here. We just click. We're chocolate and peanut butter.
I figured if I didn't wear the shirt, that might have been the end of the recording. So I was like, I'm making sure it's nice and washed. I'm using the Tide Pods with the oxygen, like the OxyClean and everything, so it looks nice and crisp. So here we are, and I got the ring light and everything.
Awesome, looking good. Well, yeah, we got you here to talk about a real fun one. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. So here's a trailer.
What do these things want, and why are they here?
You still don't get it, do you, boy?
They have recruited the rich and the powerful.
They're running the whole show.
Wake up! They're all about you, all around you. Blinded us to the truth.
Take a look. They are safe as long as they are not discovered.
I don't know what they are or where they came from, but we gotta stop them. Stay away from me. Put these on. They have us. Look at them. They're everywhere. Our owner.
We have no other choice.
I don't like this one bit.
Leave it alone, man. It ain't none of my business. Ain't none of yours. We have been lulled into a trance.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. We're in trouble. The whole world's in trouble.
Control us.
You're sending some kind of signals out of TV sets.
I've got one that can see.
Mama don't like tattletale. Now we start spilling some blood. Let's go.
Push a button.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Looks pretty good. I think you should check it out.
Honestly, I had seen that trailer.
I'd see it.
What's that movie about?
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, it's a pretty layered movie, and still the trailer gives you really no idea what you're about to see. But it worked on audiences because this movie opened at #1 on when it was released.
Wow. That's funny because that's like not on brand for 80s trailers. Because as you know, in 80s trailers, like they kind of they're almost like short films. Like it's like they give you the whole plot usually. Mm-hmm. And that one, there was like a mystery box behind it. And I also love that one of the suggested videos after that trailer was done was RoboCop, which I love RoboCop. RoboCop and this is a great double feature. Like if you go Paul Verhoeven with John Carpenter, I think that's a great double feature. The
most biting of satire. As I was watching this and as I was writing the outline for this episode, I kept thinking about that because RoboCop is not the it's different, but it's addressing the same. It's addressing the same issues. Like everybody in 1987, 1988 was like, hey, wait a second, what the fuck is up with rich people?
I mean, for all we know, Dick Jones is probably a ghoul. You know what I mean? Like, because like part of RoboCop's visor probably aren't those glasses, but if they were, he'd be like, hold on a second. Okay, real quick, pop quiz for the both of you, and I promise everybody, I apologize, I'm gonna have my ADHD. We are going to talk about They Live. But Brian and Dave, do you have a favorite one-liner from RoboCop?
Oh yeah. Well, my favorite moment of the entire movie is right at the end when he shoots Dick Jones. He goes out the window, and I can't remember the guy, the head of OCP. He just turns and says, "That's nice shooting, son. What's your name?" And he just goes, "Murphy," and it says RoboCop. Roll credits.
I don't know if I'm as familiar. I'm not too familiar. I mean, I've seen RoboCop a million times. I don't know that I love it enough to have a favorite one-liner.
Sure.
I like it a lot, but I don't know if I'm that close to it.
Have you done RoboCop on the podcast yet? I don't think
we have not. We have not.
Any Paul Verhoeven.
No, we absolutely should, because man, biting satire is that guy's middle name.
Absolutely. I mean, so my personal favorite, because, there's so many. Like, my favorite scene is probably, "You're dead. We killed you." That's probably my favorite scene. But I just love Clarence Boddicker. And everyone talks about, ooh, guns, that's the perennial favorite. But mine's in the beginning when he grabs the guy and goes, "Can you fly, baby?" And then he just throws the guy. I was like, that's one of the coldest lines to establish, like, how evil this villain is, who on the surface you wouldn't think would be a big threat. He's just like, it's Kurtwood Smith wearing glasses, wearing a leather jacket. Like, this guy can't be that dangerous.
The dad from that
70s show, yeah.
Yeah, burn the fucking money.
But he just goes, "Can you fly, Bobby?" Clarence, no. And he just throws him out.
Yep, it's beautiful. But yeah, like at this period in cinema, like people are kind of, yuppies have everybody on edge, basically, and we are starting to look at what like the next generation of the like American wealth class looks like, and like right now, I think it is.
Yeah,
this is like the ultimate, the final mutation stage of like that kind of Pokemon. Like, I don't know how they possibly get much richer than they do, but boy, I know when John Carpenter really kind of had his finger on the pulse in a way that, man, we should have been listening to him a little sooner, I think.
I'll tell you though, the difference between those two movies is that one of them is made by an American and the other one is not. And so they're two very different perspectives on more or less the same issue.
It was kind of the same thing was happening in Europe. So like it's not that much of a stretch for Paul Verhoeven to sort of come to the same conclusion. It's not like wealth structures and sort of elite class.
Yeah, but it has that sort of like Michael Haneke thing where like you get it where you're like, okay, you're on the outside, so you can be a little bit more critical. But at the same time, I'm always like, oh, easy, buddy, come on.
Yeah, but goddamn, They Live. Ooh. What a movie! My God, I love this movie so fucking much.
The last great John Carpenter movie.
True.
There's a couple good ones after, but this is the last really good one.
Yeah, because he goes to what is after this one?
Not Village of the Damned. In the Mouth of Madness?
No, that's 90s.
The shitty Invisible Man one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it Memoirs of an Invisible Man? Oh my God. That's a shame.
That was my intro into The Invisible Man, by the way. I was at a sleepover at a friend's house. This is like I was in grade school. And shout out to my childhood friend, Tom Bergen, who introduced me to Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because I didn't have basic cable growing up in my house. So I only got to see shows like Are You Afraid of the Dark and Ren and Stimpy when I would go to Tom's house. And I just remember his parents were big horror fans. Like a lot of my introduction to horror were his parents. So I saw the original like Carl Laemmle films and the James Whale films like because of them. But then I remember my introduction to Invisible Man was Memoirs of the Invisible Man.
My God.
A shame.
And, at the time, it's like you don't know any better. And this is before you have any context in terms of who the actor is behind the role. I thought, like, visually, I was watching, I couldn't follow the plot, but I just thought it was really funny, and I was also laughing because the adults were laughing. But yeah, in retrospect, it's like that probably wasn't the best choice, Mr. and Mrs. Bergen. But shout out to you.
I think he sort of lost steam after this, because this is also the last thing he does with Alan Howarth.
This is the last, yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't really know what happened after this, because he does seem to kind of lose his way in the 90s a little bit.
David, you're right. It is Memoirs of an Invisible Man from 1992.
What a way to follow this one up, eh?
But he did have his great anthology series, Body Bags, after that, and which Body Bags I'm a fan of. But even though he wasn't like the director of that, he still had his name at least on Body Bags.
Oh yeah, he was like the Crypt Keeper type character.
100%. Yeah.
So let's get into it a little bit, shall we?
Please do.
All right. The year was 1988.
Yes, heard of it.
Year of our Lord. So here's some other movies released in 1988. Arthur 2 on the Rocks came out in 1988.
Wow.
You couldn't get enough of that drunk Dudley Moore. They had to come back to the well. Fucking rough year for movies. Also,
for you.
Also, Young Einstein came out that year.
Oh, that's Australian humor for you. Pretty sure I saw that one in the theater, though.
I remember that the three of us went to see that at the movies. I have zero memory of that movie, except that MTV was pushing that guy. Yahoo Serious was his name. MTV was pushing him super hard at the time, as if he was like the next big thing.
He was not.
He was not.
Definitely not.
Speaking of Australia, Crocodile Dundee 2 came out that year.
Yeah, oh, man. This is a rough year.
Pretty bleak. Have you ever seen Deadbeat at Dawn?
Mm-hmm.
The Jim Van Bever movie?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, well, that movie took him fucking years and years and years to make, but it came out in 1988.
I like how you were like, here's some really shitty foreign comedies. Also, Deadbeat at Dawn.
It's not bad.
Low budget Charles Manson film.
No. Deadbeat at Dawn, that you're thinking of.
Oh, that's the other one. The other bigger one.
Fuck, what did he call it? Because I knew it as Charlie's Family, but it was released as something else. Shit, no, I can't remember. Whatever. Bloodsport came out in 88.
I mean, it's not a good movie. It's a fun movie.
No, if we have made ourselves clear on anything, we can get down with JCVD.
Yeah, on film, not
on
as
film.
He's a terrible man.
Well, yep. Currently being investigated for human trafficking.
Yeah.
Yep. Our director is, as we said, John Carpenter, the grouchiest dude in Hollywood, just letting it all hang out in this one.
If I may, though, Brian, if I'm not mistaken, my favorite Elm Street movie came out in 1988, which is Dream Master.
Dream Master?
So
Dream Master's your favorite?
That's my favorite one, man. That's my favorite.
No shit.
It's like Rocky 4. You know, Rocky 4 is not the best of the Rocky series, but goddamn, is it really entertaining? You know, it's like the whole thing is told in montage, and the whole thing of like, I don't know, it's like Alice is like the Captain Planet / McCloud of the final girls of the Elm Street series, because there can only be one Dream Master, but then she absorbs the powers of like everybody else. But but what I like is that Rennie Harlan, you could tell he gave Robert Englund a lot of freedom. And I feel like Robert Englund was just having so much fun performing in that movie. So for me, that's what I gravitate towards. But that's my personal favorite.
I definitely feel like that's the Nightmare where Freddy became a little too much for me, and I sort of tune out on Nightmare on Elm Street.
Plus, which is fair. The guy you call when you need someone to just point the camera.
Which is fair, but I just like that's also 1988. So to me, it's like it wasn't all bad, you know.
Nope.
I think we also get Halloween 4 that year.
Yeah, Halloween 4. So Halloween 4 was released a week prior to this one, and the original release date of its of They Live was the same date, and people were like, "Oh, well, we got to move these things apart because we don't want people getting confused between movies," because John Carpenter was still, his name was still very closely attached to Halloween, even though Halloween is nothing to do with Halloween 4 whatsoever.
And people are apparently incredibly stupid. Could not tell the difference between these two very different movies.
Yeah, well, they don't count them out. But yeah, this is the second of two movies he made for Alive Films. And for unknown reasons, he wrote the script as well. Like, yes, he always does. He writes the scripts for his own movies. But he did it under a pseudonym. Is it Frank Armitage?
Yep.
Yeah.
Armitage, I believe, is a
It's a Lovecraft reference. Yeah, it's the guy from the Dunwich Horror.
Also from Fallout 4.
Is there a Frank Armitage in that?
There is an Armitage in it.
Okay.
He is a Lovecraftian character.
Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, we've covered John so many times on this show, and get ready because there's more coming. There's a lot more coming.
We're gonna finish it off.
No, there's also an Armitage in Get Out. There's Armitage lineage in Get Out too. So to bring it back to modern film with Jordan Peele. So it's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Yeah,
he's everywhere. Yeah. Honestly, I don't really know what else we could possibly say about John Carpenter here. He had thoughts on what it was like to live in the 80s, and here they are.
I think he found it a little bit challenging. I think John Carpenter has found the world a little bit challenging. A lot of
in a lot of the notes I saw, a lot of the stuff in the interviews, he basically has that. He has a sort of adversarial relationship, a very boomer adversarial relationship with authority. And so, like, this is him just sort of expressing it. Unlike, I think, most other boomers, he's got a sort of a thoughtfulness.
Yeah, it comes from a good place. It is a desire to see a more fair and equitable society rather than just being anti-establishment.
Yeah. He seems like a good guy.
He does. He seems like a grumpy guy, but he seems like a good guy.
He seems like a good guy. I think I would, if I were to ever get the chance, I think I would roll those dice and talk to John Carpenter, because you never know what kind of John you're going to get.
That's true.
Our cast includes Roderick George Toombs, but you
talking about Roddy Piper?
You can call him Roddy Piper.
Speaking of Canada.
Oh man, he's really letting the Canada fly in this one.
He has got full hockey hair in this movie.
It's the hockiest hair in the history of cinema. Jesus.
Did either of you ever had the pleasure of meeting Roddy Piper by chance?
No. Not ever. No,
because he really was like the stereotypical like super nice Canadian. I had the pleasure of meeting him at like a Comic-Con years ago, and it was probably a year before he passed, which is kind of crazy to think about in retrospect. And I got him to sign a couple of They Live photos. And no, I got him to sign one Lady That Lived photo with him holding the revolver. And he was so nice. He sat and talked to me for a good 10 minutes before he even signed the photo. And I'm like, hey, I know there's people. He's like, no, I'm here talking to you. I want to talk to you. And like, thank you for bringing up the movie. He almost had like an Owen Wilson quality to him without the wows. He's like, yeah, come on, talk. And he said, what would you like the photo to say, John? What would you like to say? I'm like, all right, I'm torn because I love the bubblegum line, but I love the glasses line too. He's like, what if I give you a combination? I said, okay. So he writes down, Dear John, I'm all out of bubble gum. Now put the glasses on, Roddy Piper. And it's like one of my most prized possessions that got lost in a flood. But I always had.
No.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But you know what? The memory is more valuable than the material photo. At least I say that now because I don't have the material autograph photo. Yeah. But be able to share with you guys, because I didn't know if you had ever met Roddy or Keith or anybody on the cast. Like, Roddy was just one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. Not just nice wrestler, not just nice actor, like just a good human, nice Canadian. So for anyone wondering, yeah, he really was just awesome.
That's very reassuring. I've met a bunch of sort of like horror and horror adjacent type people at cons, but at a certain point it became so expensive that like I could not justify doing it anymore, and so like I kind of stopped. But yeah, he never came around. Keith David never really came out this way either.
I feel like Keith David maybe didn't need to back then.
Like when we get to him, he doesn't need the money. That dude is busy.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe next. I haven't talked to Keith in a while, name drop, but like maybe next time you're in LA, maybe we can try to figure something out. Because
track him down.
I owe the dude a call. No, I have his number. Like I haven't called him in a while, but every time I would bump into him, it was like, "Hey, John, how's it going? It's good to see." Because he's got that cool voice, you know. He's so smooth. He's like, "Yeah, just give me a call anytime. Yeah, we'll get something set up." You know, so we'll figure something out. I feel like there's because he makes for great conversation. Because the last time I actually sat down and talked to him, like we were supposed to do this project together, so we were all just at this lunch, and he told me stories about Pitch Black and how he had to explain to the director how the logic of him holding the flashlight didn't make sense and all this stuff. And he'll tell you those stories too. So Keith David, also amazing human being.
That's awesome. Because he's a favorite of mine. He's an all-timer for me, yeah.
As far as don't meet your heroes, he does not apply. Like, definitely meet Keith David. And I'm going to put it out there. You are going to meet Keith David. We're going to make this happen.
Next time we're in town, John, I'm going to hold you to it.
In fact, he's here right now. Hey, Brian, how you doing? I heard you like gargoyles. All right, thank you.
So Carpenter, of course, had Kurt Russell in mind for the role of George Nada, but when Kurt became unavailable, then in production of the movie Tequila Sunrise, he considered some other high-profile actors, but centered on Roddy Piper after meeting him at WrestleMania 3. Piper was one of the foundational WWE superstars of the 80s, was known for his uncanny talent to cut compelling promos off the dome and strong ring work to be one of the many adversarial heels to the Hulk Hogan hegemony at WWE, along with dudes like Macho Man Randy Savage. John, being a fan of pro wrestling since he was a kid, jumped at the chance to do something wild. Andre the Giant turned out one of the most unexpected and charming performances only a year prior in The Princess Bride, so why the hell not, right? Vince McMahon, a shithead of legendary posture, tried to talk him out of doing this movie, offering to get Piper an equivalent deal that he could maintain control of, but Piper took the chance to get the fuck out. Given how McMahon's negotiation worked out for Hulk Hogan the following year in the unbelievably weird wrestling feature No Holds Barred, Piper dodged a bullet, but just barely, because he also appeared in Hell Comes to Frogtown the very same year.
That is not a good movie.
I don't know where I land on that one because I have not seen it in a really long time, but I remember liking it.
I watched it last year. It's not good.
Tell us how you really feel.
It's really cheap. It's cheap and badly written. It is hasty film.
Thank you for your candor, Dave. I appreciate it.
Let's just call it what it is.
We've also got, as we were talking, Keith David, who we previously saw with Carpenter in 1982's The Thing. Looking over his career across 45 years, it seems like there isn't much that Keith David hasn't done, first appearing in Rudy Ray Moore's Disco Godfather, and then either acting or doing voice work in just about everything else produced.
400 things.
Yeah, it's crazy. Platoon, Clockers, Dead Presidents, Requiem for a Dream, a ton of TV, voice acting in just about... What's that?
Roadhouse.
Motherfucking Roadhouse. Voice acting on just about every cartoon on Cartoon Network. Gargoyles, 2 seasons of Community, several feature projects for Disney, including the villain Dr. Facilier in The Princess and the Frog, in which I believe he also sings his own songs. He's also...
Man.
Yeah. Also, hey, Halo, Mass Effect, Mortal Kombat, Saints Row. Is Keith David the busiest actor in Hollywood? I can confidently say yes. He is without question the one actor that I'm thrilled to see in anything. And then rounding out, we got The Eyes of Meg Foster.
Love her.
She's wonderful. Making her second appearance on this podcast since all the way back in our episode about Masters of the Universe, where she played Eva Lynn. Carpenter brought her in after seeing her performance in a Canadian movie called Ticket to Heaven about a dude who gets wrapped up in a cult and is then deprogrammed. She was nominated for a Canadian Genie Award for that one. She's a utility actor.
I say this every time. She's in a movie called The Wind, made by, of all people, Nico Mastorakis. And I really like that movie, and I think everyone should go watch it. So starring Meg Foster.
I don't think I know this one.
It's like, so Nico Mastorakis, not known for good movies. And I wouldn't say this is a good movie, but she's like a tourist or something like that. She goes to this not quite deserted island, Greek island, that like it shuts down. It's like a tourist destination. It kind of shuts down because at a certain point in the year, it is like in this.
Is this Anthropophagus? Are you describing Anthropophagus to me?
It shuts down because it's like it gets super, super windy to the point where like you can't even really go outside. And so like most people leave the island for a little while.
I think I know what you're talking about. She's like a novelist or something. I probably saw it in passing at best, so I couldn't tell you all the plot points, but everything you were describing, like, wait, because Meg Foster, you mentioned Meg Foster, I'm like, I can place her pretty quickly. And when you started saying that, like, okay, yeah, that sounds familiar. The Wind, where can I watch it? Is that like on any streaming device, or can I just rent it somewhere?
It might be on Shudder. It's Arrow put it out maybe 5 or 6 years ago in a Blu-ray. So it's definitely on the Arrow channel if you have that. But I think it might be on Shudder. You know, it's worth a watch.
Oh, it's in my queue right now. I'm going to put it.
She's a really good actor.
She is.
She's utility. Appears in a lot of what I consider to be seriously underrated stuff. Like, have you ever seen the Osterman Weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking cool movie. She's in the Emerald Forest with Powers Booth and the incredibly
Not a great movie.
the incredibly shitty but very charming Leviathan, which takes the Thing and Alien and sticks them in an undersea research station.
Mm-hmm. Is Peter Weller in that as well?
Yes, I think so. Richard Crenna's in it also. Yeah. Yeah, fucking A. A solid cast. Solid cast. Very small cast. It takes place mostly between just like two people, but it's good.
I mean, this movie I think I will say of the classic John Carpenter period, this is not one of my favorites. I think it's a little murky. I think he had an idea, and I don't know that he fully fleshed the idea out.
I will say it feels very heavily front loaded.
Yeah.
Where like most of the ideas are expressed up front, and then at the end he's like, and then they go to the TV station and then they blow the thing up, and then and then everybody finds out that they're aliens. But like it does kind of go like da 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 in very short brief brush strokes towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are a couple of taglines. And they are, you see them on the street. You watch them on TV. You might even vote for one this fall. You think they're people just like you. You're wrong. Dead wrong.
That's a log line.
That's a log line, but it's good. And then there's this one. Who are they and what do they want?
Better.
You think?
Yeah, better. Shorter, to the point.
I guess so. I mean, the movie is called They Live. So let's keep it brief. Oh, so hey, it's 1988.
Yeah.
We are nearly through 2 terms of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
It's campaign season.
Tough times.
Not going to get better. It's campaign season. George Herbert Walker Bush, one of the lamest, most milquetoast presidential hopefuls of all time, has chosen James Danforth Quayle, a certifiable idiot, to run against Democrat Mike fucking Dukakis, who was somehow even worse than the 2 Republicans combined.
The thing is, though, I'm gonna stick up for my fellow countryman, Michael Dukakis. He was a little bit dopey, but he was a decent person. I think he wanted really good things. He got sort of undermined and sort of steamrolled by the shittiest Republican operatives who used his wife's mental illness against him and some just really dumb, trivial shit. And it's like, this is where we get, as bad as it is now, just look back. This is where it all fucking comes from.
Yeah.
This is when they became just really shitty and underhanded and fucking slimy. And they did I think he would have been a decent president. Not a good one. He's kind of he's a little Gerald Fordy, He's not going to do great stuff, but he's not going to do terrible stuff. And most of it's probably going to benefit working class people. And that's pretty good. Like, that's kind of how it would have played out. But that's not what happened. We got George Bush instead. And that sucked. Sucked real bad.
Yep. It's just setting up the pieces for where they land like 30 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. The future has never been more bleak. 8 years of radical deregulation of the financial sector primarily has stripped this country and sold it off to corporate raiders. A series of scandals surrounding savings and loan associations led to the closure of over 1,000 banks nationally. Hundreds of billions of dollars vanish into thin air in the span of 2 years.
Black Monday?
That's Black Monday.
Was that 89? 88, 89?
I believe Black Monday was 87.
Okay.
A tidal wave of property foreclosures follows. Reagan's military spending eats up budgets that formerly went to arts grants, educations, and job training. Unions busted, powerless. The middle class vanishes in a single decade.
And not to mention the housing deregulation and development deregulations are insane. So we end up getting the development process gets like bogged down in all this dumb bullshit red tape, but at the same time they're removing restrictions to the point that people from foreign countries can come here and buy housing. Which, okay, fine, you're gonna come and live in it, great, but they're not. they come and buy it and they either leave it empty for when they occasionally want to use it, or they rent it out at super high rates. And so that drives the market rates up, and the other things do too. But like this is also so obviously homelessness is an extremely complicated thing, but that is a big part of it, is that there is no more affordable housing because it's being bought up by foreign investment companies. Or it's being fucking torn down because it's just, slums. And so it just worsens everything. And so that's where you get like some of the homeless piece, I think, comes from that. And I don't know that John Carpenter really understands these things in, let's say, a robust way.
Well, he does. He
sees them as bad.
He does have 90 minutes to sort of express a kind of a nuanced subject. So he's got to kind of cut corners and sort of be kind of short about it. But man, yeah.
You know what's crazy about that, as I was listening to everything you were saying, Dave, is if someone were to just drop in the middle of what you were just saying, because I know you were focused on the time that this movie was made, very much is relevant, sadly, to what's going on right now.
No, 100%.
That's the crazy thing about it. You know what I mean? It's like there's this. That's why for me this one ages better for me. Like maybe years ago, I would have ranked it maybe slightly lower. This is always my favorite one. I just was always gravitated towards it. But because of relevance, I'm like, this ages better kind of tragically because it shouldn't age that well. You know what I mean?
I feel like this is like probably the most evergreen social commentary that I can think of, like of the 80s. Because like, everything, all of them made in the 80s. Yeah. Yeah.
They want to go hand in hand, though. Well, that's the thing, though, is that we get stuck in these political cycles where this is usually how it works, is people elect Republicans because they think they're better on things like the economy, which they think is sort of like bogged down by regulation. So Republicans come in, they fuck everything for like 4 or 8 years. Democrats come in and try to fix it, but they don't fix it fast enough. So then people get frustrated and vote Republicans in again. And so we keep swinging around and around and around, and they just keep doing the same thing every single time. And so that's why, like George W. Bush's, his terms were kind of hampered by the war. Like they were just eaten up entirely by the war. So I don't think they had enough time to do any of this shit, but they certainly would have.
Well, I was trying my best, Dave.
Exactly.
There was a lot of wars going on. I was trying my best to be refreshicating as a president, but it just wasn't happening.
That's the sad part.
What's sad is that probably is like a direct quote that I took from George W.
So you get Reagan, who does all this, and all Bush is, the first Bush, he's just an extension of Reaganism. And then you get Clinton, and then we get the war in Iraq that kind of dominates, and then Obama, and then into here we are again with this same bullshit. So it's really just the same thing, because that's kind of all they do. This is the same song they keep singing every single time, and they're just going to keep doing this over and over again, because this is their core belief, that if you just let the market have its way with America, everything will be fine, despite the fact that it has never been fine every single time.
It has not once ever demonstrated the effect that Reaganomics was intended to demonstrate. And it's been the sort of going economic policy of every Republican, and to some extent the Democrats as well, is that if we just keep cutting taxes on the rich, well then the money just kind of trickles downwards, and it doesn't. It fucking doesn't. Evident the fact that there's more fucking billionaires right now than there's ever been.
Yeah, it just keeps creating a larger and larger wealth gap. So unfortunately, the reason this still feels so relevant is because this is just the same fucking story every single time. You could remake this movie today, change nothing, and people would be like, wow, what a fresh take.
Actually, they were going to remake this movie several years ago, and then I think it stalled, and I hopefully that project is done, because last I heard they were stripping out all of the political commentary and essentially making it an adaptation of 8 o'clock in the morning, which is the short story that the movie is based on. So hold all that in your mind, because in spite of all that, a wealthy elite rises out of this mess, empowered by a state economy tailor-made to benefit them and them alone. A new power ascends, young, urban, professional, Yuppies, trust fund psychopaths with a rare zeal for consumption. They live on lobster and cocaine and convinced everyone below them in the social pecking order that the poors were trying to get a piece of their action, and if they all just went nose to the grindstone, they too could end up interviewed by Robin Leach on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Donald Trump is a direct result of this shit. How could they possibly?
I would say Donald Trump is the embodiment of this. He is like, if you were to say, hey, you needed to the personification of yuppiedom, what is it? Donald Trump.
Yeah, he was the face of it.
Consumption and like a narcissistic psychopathy.
Yeah, if you read American Psycho, Patrick Bateman and all of his hedge fund guys are constantly talking about how awesome Donald Trump is.
Yeah, I can't. Brady Snellis does absolutely nothing for me.
I like that book a lot. How could they possibly be so callous? How could they cannibalize their own society to benefit themselves and themselves alone? Have they no shame, no consciousness? Are they even human? Well, that's what John Carpenter was thinking when he took Ray Nelson's short story, 8 o'clock in the morning, and developed it into a picture we're talking about tonight. Have you read 8 o'clock in the morning? It's online. It's 6 pages long. It's like something I wrote when I was in 8th grade.
I was going to say, it feels more like he watched the V miniseries and then read 8 o'clock in the morning.
He developed it into a picture we're talking about tonight. Released 4 days ahead of the 1988 presidential election, which seems apropos. It was originally moved up from an October release, so as we said, it didn't coincide with the release of Halloween 4. And also, I believe that this is the first John Carpenter movie to open at number 1 of the box office. He is still amazed by this fact.
I would be too.
Yeah, after just like a decade of just getting beat down by box office numbers and studio pressure.
Banger after banger. Every movie he's making at this, almost every movie, is incredible. I would say by the time you get around to this one, it's like, this is the one?
But that's how it goes. That's how it goes, though, a lot of times. I mean, maybe not directly with box office. I was talking about this the other day with a friend of mine about Leo DiCaprio. And when he finally won for The Revenant, which to me, objectively speaking, and now to be clear, Leo's great in everything he does, including Growing Pains. Everything he's ever done, he's been great. Now, Revenant to me is far from his best performance. It's just they were like, well, it's about time we give it to him. Like they should have probably given it to him for Catch Me If You Can or The Aviator.
It was a Lucci moment.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. So it's like
for all the gays listening.
I'm a straight dude. I get what you're talking about too. I did a day on Days of Our Lives, even though that wasn't Susan Lucci, but like I'm adjacent to the Susan Lucci world. But how often does it actually line up? I mean, sometimes it does. Like even with the Oscars this year, like people were mad about one battle after another winning. It's like I don't know if I was mad about it. I thought Sinners was going to win, but it's like I wasn't surprised one battle after another one. But it's like when does like the when does the people who you think should win actually win? The last time I can think that got close was a couple years ago when Everything Everywhere won. I was like, it seemed like almost everyone across the board was like, all right, yeah, Brendan Fraser wins. Yeah, I'm with that. Everything Everywhere Once wins. Kiwi Kwan wins. Very seldom does that happen. So, but then the one random one just kind of hits. You know what I mean? But like when you look at Carpenter, it's like pound for pound the diverse library of films that he has. It's like name another director that does what he does. Maybe Richard Donner, who's done like stuff across the board. Spielberg, maybe to a certain degree, you can make that argument, but I don't know as much. But it's just an interesting thought because Gosling's movie now, Project Hail Mary, which is excellent by the way, is like number 1. But I think he's made some of the best choices as an actor. Maybe not every movie he's done has been a huge hit, but I think everything he's done has been, to me, like great for Ryan Gosling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it seemed like for a little while he was locked. Ryan Gosling was kind of locked in this kind of mode where every movie was sort of determined by his brooding stare, the smolder. There's I think of what is it? Only God Forgives, and Blade Runner. Like there's a string of movies where it seemed like he just was defined by a haunted look. Like that was the whole thing. But he's capable of a lot of stuff. Like whenever he's really funny whenever he's on like SNL. So the guy's got chops. He's
you know
got
why?
range.
You know why that is?
He's Canadian.
He's Canadian.
Because he's Canadian. He's Canadian with like a muddled New York accent. He's like, "Hey guys, yeah, I'm Ryan Gosling. I'm just gonna be doing this thing, and I'm not gonna eat my cereal, but I'm from Canada, so let's do this thing." You know,
Yep.
he's got those chill vibes. You know.
Yep. Also on Are You Afraid of the Dark?
That's right. It's worth saying too, like obviously box office and awards really are they are subjective, not
Sure.
like they don't really say much about the movie. I mean, if we look at a lot of the things that open at number one, as we do on our,
Well, especially now.
like it is whatever the populace wants to go see. It just seems a little bit odd. Well, maybe not though. Maybe people were a little bit fed up and they were like, "Hey, that looks like the movie that I want to see." Actually, though, there is something interesting about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was based on the ads or what, but people went into this expecting a big action movie. Now it is an action movie, but they were expecting a kind of Rambo-esque action movie.
Oh, sure, because we get like a muscle bound
right and so
lead and
were disappointed when it didn't work
Do you
out
think WWE fans contributed to that? Because there had to be some carryover of like fans of Roddy Piper, which would have been substantial. Like, hey,
oh sure, like when he left WWE to do this, he was like at the height of his popularity.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't like he was on a career downslide or anything. Like,
and I think
it was a big deal that he split.
What they were expecting was a pro-America movie, and what very. I would say not anti-American. It's a very critical film, but it's a very subtly critical. I'm surprised that so many people even picked up on that at the time.
It's an honest film, I would say.
So
not anti or pro, but definitely, I feel honest.
Yeah, it's critical for sure. And so I think people they went into it thinking it was going to be another sort of Commando or something.
I mean, that was the pattern of action movies at the time. And what was it? Rambo 3 came out in 1988 as well. So, I guess that was the expectation. But yeah, sure. I mean, it's not exactly blunt, but if you're paying attention, you're gonna you are expecting a big sort of flag wavy jingoistic action movie. You're gonna be like, wait a second here. What is he saying? Is it bad to be rich?
He's not even really sure what he's saying. I don't think. It's probably pretty high at the time. I think what's interesting about this too is that the thing that doesn't get talked about as much is that it has shades of a buddy movie in it. There's a weird masculinity to this movie that does not get discussed. It's like toxic independence in the worst possible ways. And there isn't a lot that's ever said about that, probably because there's not much to it other than what you see on the screen. Pretty straightforward. But it does have this kind of like buddy comedy almost quality to it, in which both of these characters one is not a sidekick to the other. They're very much standalone.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that. It's an interesting twist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in 2017, John Carpenter took to Twitter to address a growing problem with internet shitheads. Racists had been both in earnest and in bad faith describing this movie as a metaphor for Jews controlling everything. He posted, "They Live is about yuppies and unrestrained capitalism. It has nothing to do with Jewish control of the world, which is slander and a lie." Unsurprisingly, it did little to dissuade the Nazis.
Listen, the internet is full of idiots, and I am but one.
It's bad. It's just bad. You got to stop using it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Roddy Piper was among the people who were disappointed with the message of this film.
I know. I did see some things where he was like, yeah, I kind of liked Reagan. And I was like, guy, come on.
That's because you weren't paying attention. Or you had a lot of money and wanted to.
It's probably a bit of both. I mean, that does kind of parlay into his character of Nada, which is kind of appropriately named because what stood out to me on this watch, probably because of what's going on in the world, is how we can all be looking at the same thing, but have very different interpretations of that same thing. Where Nada had this very idealistic view of the world because he's a white male, but like where Keith David, he's like a black dude who really was kind of through survival tactics had to kind of keep his head down and stay out of trouble. So they're both going to look at the world very differently in that sense. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me if that was Roddy's perspective, because when you're a beneficiary of the system that benefits people that look like you, it's hard to see, what sort of injustices there are. But when you're someone who looks like Keith David, they're very, very clear and the writing is on the wall. And in this case, on this movie, it's very literally on the wall.
I think it is kind of bananas, though, that they're just like, he's this dude who has been forced to travel across states looking for work. And he's just like, no, I still believe in America. And it's like, man, you have been riding the rails like a well, clearly 1920s hobo.
His favorite movie is clearly Hard Times, starring Charles Bronson, which is actually a very solid, like Depression era sort of movie. Have you seen that? Hard Times?
I love that one, man.
That's a great one.
One of my favorite Walter Hills.
Yeah, and it's a great ending too. He's like, Cheney, you ought to say something. You know, when James Coburn, he's got that whole voice. It's a good one. I would check that out. I recommend.
Yep.
I'll watch, along with The Wind, of course. I think like a double feature would be The Wind and Hard Times would be.
There's not as much social commentary in The Wind. It's just a slasher film.
And then lastly, the South Park episode called Cripple Fight features a 1-to-1 fight sequence between Timmy and Jimmy that matches up almost perfectly with the movie.
It is very funny.
It is very, very funny. So where'd the press land on this one?
Well, I'm going to tell you all about it. Let me start with, you know her as the old gray lady. Janet Maslin, New York Times.
Oh, the real gray lady.
Yep. The idea that alien forces control our media, making subliminal use of billboards, commercials, and magazines to subvert our thinking probably isn't that hard for most of us to believe. Credibility isn't the problem with John Carpenter's They Live, but execution is. Since Mr. Carpenter seems to be trying to make a real point here, the flatness of They Live is doubly disappointing. So is its crazy inconsistency, since the film stops trying to abide even by its own game plan after a while. Even for end-of-the-world fantasy, this is too much. I can see where she's coming from.
She's not entirely wrong. There is a weird vibe, and I think some of it has to do with the fact that like the back half of the movie is definitely feels very rushed, but also Piper's not an actor. No. And so there's a flatness.
He is being outacted by the other two people in this movie over and over again.
Yes, and there's a flatness to his performance that sort of has kind of a deadening effect, I think, on the overall picture. But yeah.
Well, let me tell you about Jay Carr, Boston Globe.
Ah, the old gray lady.
Oh, you've heard of her. John Carpenter's They Live has cult favorite written all over it. And part of the reason is the way it regenerates the cheap, juicy, surprisingly potent sci-fi of the 1950s. Like the better sci-fi of the 1950s, Carpenter questions authority and heaps on social comment. But once he delivers his throwback to the 50s visuals, They Live starts running low on imagination and inventiveness. I think you can see where these are going.
Yeah. Those 1950s touches that he adds to the movie, they're a very deliberate production design consideration. I love those.
Yep.
Like the little flying saucers and shit like that. It's so cool.
Yeah, they occasionally they come out of nowhere and they feel a little like, they're fun. San Francisco Examiner, David Aronson. They Live isn't just a skillful action fantasy, it's a plea to help the homeless and a full-scale attack on Reagan-era ethics, or rather, a lack of them as well. Whether you need sunglasses or not, They Live isn't to be missed. I think he might have missed some of the points there, but I don't know that it's a plea to help the homeless exactly.
You see, he gets it. Well, that's apparently that's what he went in with, was like he had his own little bias going on, because this comes on the heels of Prince of Darkness, which also has a real heavy homelessness component.
Yeah, this movie has lots of homeless people in it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Dave Kerr, Chicago Tribune. They Live is the looniest movie of the season and also one of the most engaging. It's Carpenter's first explicitly, and indeed even feverishly, political film. I don't know about that. Though it's hard to say whether its politics belong to the far left or the far right.
Okay.
I don't know about that either.
Pump the brakes there.
Carpenter is an extremely accomplished director, and the street fights are well staged and exciting. But the exhilarating violence adds a baffling ambiguity to the film. Is Nada a revolutionary hero or just a guy who has been given a license to kill? I think that's a very interesting question, because at a certain point, the movie does have a kind of coherent thread. And then all of a sudden, Nada as a character just seems to go off the rails and just starts killing people.
Yeah, he's completely shattered by the discovery of what he's seen.
And finally, tonight, Let me leave you with
fuck.
deepest, most thoughtful reviews I could possibly find. It is the IMDb user.
Oh, no.
And she goes like this. John Carpenter's 1988 piece of feces, They Live, has an extremely left-wing message, black co-star, whoa, and a character that literally looks in the camera and says that the elites are causing racial tensions among the working class in order to explode it for their own gain. That's a run-on sentence. Somehow this is, quote, forced, unquote. I pity a lot of left-wing people who feel like they are literally living out John Carpenter's fantasies. I frankly do not appreciate this critical lens, even if I don't think movies could fall neatly into it. I don't know what that last thing means. This person is probably a racist.
I don't appreciate this accusation that rich people are aliens.
Oh, man.
Whew. Also, what's up with the black guy in this movie?
Why are you putting black people in movies, John Carpenter?
Oh, man, you can always, God, you can just count on the IMDb to just bring you the most unhinged shit you've ever read.
Hey, I gotta dig deep for some of these, so.
Oh, well, we're going to dive into this movie right after these messages. Okay, we ready?
Ready?
Here we go. Here we go. We open on a train yard. A train rolls by lazily against a graffiti mural upon which the words, "They live," are painted. They live, we sleep. As the train passes a lone drifter, a man named Nada. Actually, he's never named in the movie. Just Nada is what his name is in the book. Just an interesting for a character name.
I have another thought about names in general, so keep that in mind for later.
Okay. He walks into frame, bundled up for those cold days in Los Angeles, carrying everything he owns in a pack on his back.
Now, I do believe he says he came from Denver, where it is, to be fair, a little bit cold.
To be fair. He makes his way to the rainy streets of downtown LA. He visits the unemployment office looking for a job and talks to the visibly unimpressed bureaucrat about his last gig back in Colorado, where he worked for 10 years until the jobs just disappeared.
I like how she hears he's from Denver and she's like, no thanks.
We got nothing for you. Get out of here, Denver. Yep, they lost 14 banks in 1 week, he says, likely referring to the outcome of the savings and loan scandals. That, like all matters of finance in this fucking country, landed on the shoulders of the working class and the poor.
What?
I know. She tells him that there's no work for him right now, so he heads back out onto the streets and comes upon a fire and brimstone preacher in a park just belting out the fury, but he's not talking about God or Jesus or any of that. The evil that he's talking about is a mysterious they, a ruling class that is the underclass on lock.
I also like they cut to this bank of TVs.
Yeah.
Like a shop window or whatever. And it's just, flashing these sort of all American images. There's the eagle flying in the air, and there's like a native person dancing, and there's like dudes playing basketball and fucking high-fiving each other, and America.
The land of opportunity.
And eagles.
And basketball. Out on the street, he passes people just transfixed on TVs and store windows. Sets up camp in an alley and watches a woman giving one hell of a weird-ass monologue about how badly she wants to be famous on TV. Overhead, LAPD helicopters patrol the sky. They used to do that when I lived in Florida. Local PD just would patrol.
What are they looking for?
I don't know, man, but they had like searchlights and shit.
So like we get that occasionally here. Usually it's traffic.
Yeah.
They're monitoring traffic. We live in a very dense city, so you get a lot of that. But I don't think they use it for crime here as much. I think they associate it with crime.
No, yeah, down there, man, it was crazy because like all of a sudden I'd pull in, like a helicopter would fly over real low, and like the fucking spotlight would just be down, like zipping across a parking lot across the street.
Can't be the most effective way to look for a criminal,
unless you're looking for a specific criminal.
Okay.
Because there was that one time that that a van jumped the median and like crashed through my parking lot and like just smashed into some cars, and then the guys got out and ran away.
Well, that's Florida for you.
and a helicopter like soon after like flew over and just like followed them to keep an eye on where they were going. But yeah. So Here we go. Back in the movie. The next day, he drops in on a job site, talks to the foreman about day labor. He's informed that this is a union job and turns his attention on the union workers, just hanging out, fucking around. So lazy and surly. He ends up with a job for the day, though. And when the day is done, another one of these day laborers, Frank, informs him of a homeless camp nearby that he can set up at.
But we also, before that happens, there's this weird moment where like they cut to Frank, who, I don't know, he's fucking chopping wood or whatever he's doing. And he looks over and there's Roddy Piper, shirt off, digging. And he just kind of like lingers, like the stare lingers on him. And my note just says, Keith David sees something he likes.
Roddy Piper is a buff dude.
Yeah, he had to be.
Yep. He says nothing, but he follows Frank from a distance until they arrive.
Like a bus creep. So this is part of that, what I was just talking about, that toxic independence of like, I don't need help. I'm an American. I'll make my own way. But it's like, yeah, instead you're just gonna fucking lurk behind him like a weirdo.
Yeah.
10 blocks.
This is what rugged independence looks like.
But I think that's kind of funny though, that this is that, like, John Carpenter, obviously he's no slouch. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
And he points this out, like, that men are a little silly. And especially this idea of like American independence, this like make my own way, and I don't need a hand from anybody. It's like, yeah, but you're just following him now.
Well, I mean, even in such a way that I love it, because it is a very cartoonish, where like Frank walks and walks and walks, and he kind of like keeps looking over his shoulder, and he stops, and then Nada stops too. Like,
he may as well like jump behind a bush every time he look around.
Yeah,
just a little silly. I like how he's like, hey y'all, isn't this fucking dumb? Men's silly.
Yep. So he arrives at a bustling and diverse camp run by Gilbert, adjacent to a church. Nada eats with Frank, who was originally from Detroit, where the steel mills were closing up. He sends money back to his family there. He says the union cut the bosses a break as things were looking bleak for the mill, and then the bosses used it to give themselves raises.
It's like a Bruce Springsteen song. I believe this is also where we get our obligatory George Flowers cameo.
He's coming up, yeah. One of the things Frank says is, they close one more factory. We should take a sledge to one of their fucking fancy foreign cars. To which I say, at a minimum, dog.
And to which I say, Teslas are not foreign, but by all means.
Frank's outlook is cynical, but he's not wrong. Nada doesn't see things that way, though. He thinks that Frank just needs to change his outlook. If he just puts in an honest day's work, the system will see that he's rewarded.
Yeah, that's the typical comment I get from white people usually when some sort of social injustice happens. And some be like, "Oh, it's gonna get better." I'm like, "You've been telling me that for 20 years." Like I don't think like that's the line you want to go with, and it's just kind of like what we were touching on before. It's like they can be looking at the same world but very differently. Where Keith has seen some real shit, and he's from Detroit, where things close down. For him to be a black man from Detroit to then come to LA. He's not going to see like, hey, just do the work and it's going to be fine. It's like, for Nada, probably, because there's always going to be a slot for somebody that looks like Nada if they kind of play by the rules.
Yeah.
Frank can play by the rules, and it's probably not going to play out the same way for him, which is...
Yeah.
And he says, what Nada says is, I follow the rules. I believe in America. And, I'm not sure when this happened, but this idea of America sort of it was sort of hijacked by usually conservatives and reframed in very corporate terms. If you just work hard, and that's that kind of Protestant work ethic bullshit.
Yeah.
Or like, if you just work hard, it'll all pay off. Well, there's no regard for, social inequity or any of that. And so it's like, you're right. He looks at the world and just says, well, people like me have always worked hard and we've always made our way. And it's like, yeah. And what about people who aren't you?
Yeah, it's definitely capitalized on the success of movies like Rocky and Stallone, like coming up in the way he did with Rocky and Rambo, because even Reagan was saying, hey, let's be like Rambo, so it's like they were being like, hey, if Rocky Balboa can have a shot against Apollo Creed and go the distance, then anybody can achieve their dream, and Stallone kind of was like the poster child for that sort of thing, especially in the 80s,
Because he was in porno.
Look, however he got there.
You got to start somewhere.
Well, look, that's why he's the Italian stallion, as we all know. So, but really, that's, it is very much directly in line with the Ronald Reagan era, but also like Reagan, coming from the Hollywood era himself, or the Hollywood world himself, knew how to play that game and utilize that media as sort of a societal programming, which is pretty much the movie, you know.
Well, there's also an interesting parallel, I think, to now in that statement as well, in that Nada doesn't want to see himself as a marginal figure. You know, he's like, I'm a working class guy. I'm a regular American, which of course means a white man usually. But he doesn't seem to understand is like, well, you're actually not. You're a homeless man right now. Yeah. You're a migrant worker. You're not middle class. And so the idea that he could be on the same level as these other people, I think, is another thing. You know, he doesn't want help from Frank. He doesn't want to be like those other people. He just wants to work hard and have a day's work for day's pay and all that bullshit. And without realizing, like, hey man, you're a fucking part of all this and you do need help just like everybody else does. So he does sort of represent this figure that is like, I'm not like you. I just work hard and it'll all work out, because he can't see himself as something who's not part of sort of the status quo. And that is very much what happens today, is that people don't want to look and see themselves as poor, or they don't want to see themselves as not part of sort of the regular Americans, when it's like, that's not when the Republican Party, and hell, even the Democratic Party, when they look at people, that is not what they see, you know. And that's, so I think there's another interesting parallel there, is like, you're disposable just like everybody else, man. And he doesn't want to see that. He thinks if he just does his part, it'll all work out, because it's supposed to for people like him.
There's a lot of mental gymnastics going on.
Nada's presentation is also quite conspicuous as well, because like he shows up to this homeless camp, and like most of the people in this place are just kind of like normal folks, but he is a very clean cut. He is clean shaven,
hockey hair,
got the hockey hair. His
shit's
like his clothes are clean. His shit's all put together. Like he says
he has his own tools.
Yeah,
which is a thing most people would not have. You know, when people go work on, day laborers don't usually show up with their own tools.
No.
You know what's funny? Like the thing that I look at now as somebody who has spent a lot of time in athletics and fitness, I'm like, how does he stay so jacked if he's such a drifter? Because it takes a lot of caloric intake and a lot of weightlifting volume. No, like it's a lot of volume in the gym, like lifting weights. It's a lot of recovery. So if he's walking all the time, he's probably putting in at least 20,000 steps. He probably never has the recovery. I don't know how he's getting he's got to be taking in at least 5,000 calories to maintain that size. I was like, how is this possible? Like, that's the real sci-fi of the movie. Like, how are you still so jacked? Like,
how do you get those lats, dude?
Like, what is your secret? Like, how did you get those down? Where did you, wait, if you don't have a job, how do you get the juice? Like, what is going on? How did you get the Ivan Drago special if you don't have a job? Like, because that's not cheap.
Well, listen, hey, if you just put in a day, like an honest day's work.
If you just get that gold gym membership and put in an honest day. Then.
So that night he plays harmonica because he's a hobo, and that's the only instrument hobos know how to play.
Harmonica's doing a lot of heavy lifting in this movie.
Just not an easy instrument to play, by the way.
No, we haven't really talked about the music in this one. I think this is one of the first times in Carpenter history I don't really like the soundtrack.
I think that I think much like the sort of overall presentation of the movie, I think he was sort of losing interest a little bit.
Could have been
on Prince of Darkness too. Prince of Darkness is not a very good. It's a very subtle soundtrack.
Yeah, there's kind of slinky jazz pieces through this one that when we were watching it in the Discord, like some of the listeners were like, "This sounds like Twin Peaks." I was like, I could see Audrey Horne kind of sway into this.
It's like the Twin Peaks by way of fucking Bruce Willis's musical.
The Return of Bruno.
Badalamenti is a very accomplished musician who wrote incredible scores. This music is a little bit cheesy, and it's more Howarth than Carpenter, I would guess.
Yeah, probably. So some of the camp inhabitants watch TV when a signal intrudes on a Lee press-on nails ad. It's a guy telling them that the wealth class, they have us all in a sort of trance while they loot the banks and keep us poor. And what's more, they have us turning against each other to keep the peace.
And then a blonde-haired girl goes, "Billy, I have a headache."
As he rants, the preacher from the park stands off to the side, mouthing the words as the man on the TV says them.
It's fucking cool. It's such a cool moment. It might be the coolest moment of the movie.
It's a neat touch. I like it a lot. Carpenter regular George Buck Flower changes the channel. Nada sees Gilbert and the preacher sneaking into the church. So in the morning, he greets Gilbert with a question about being in the church so late. And Gilbert walks by some people watching TV, and the intruder is back on the screen ranting. Gilbert, seeing the interference, runs back to the church, so Nada sneaks over to check it out.
Like, for a dude who previously didn't want any help, didn't need directions to the homeless camp, now he's really interested in what's going on around him.
Right? He's so suspicious. When he enters, he hears the choir singing, but finds only a tape deck playing the singing in a room full of cardboard boxes. There's also a table with a makeshift lab nearby with some lenses on it, like for glasses. Upstairs, Gilbert, the guy from the TV signal, and a bunch of other folks argue next to a satellite dish about what to do next. The signals are being jammed by a mysterious they, and Gilbert thinks that it's time for a change of tactics. They can't keep robbing banks and producing something called Hoffman lenses. Whatever they're doing, it's not working.
This is some real SLA shit now.
Yeah, dude, I like this. What is it? Fright Rags just started actually selling those glasses.
Yeah, for like $100.
A $10 pair of sunglasses, like the ones that I wear when I'm driving, just like molded to look like the ones in the movies. $100. God damn it, Fright Rags.
I had better see aliens through those
right. If the world is not in black and white, I want my fucking money back. But I get to keep the glasses. Nada trips and accidentally knocks aside a false wall, finding more boxes behind him. He puts it all back together in splits, running directly into the preacher, a blind man who feels his face and hands.
He just gets all up on him.
He's like molded. Jesus Christ. It's a revolution, he says, tries to give him a pair of sunglasses, but Nada runs out. And a patrol helicopter flies overhead. Now, from a distance, Nada watches Gilbert and his people loading the boxes into a car. Frank comes over to see what he's up to. When he tells him what's up, Frank tells Nada to forget it. Keep your head down. Keep working. This fishy bullshit will do you no good.
Fair.
Yep. That night, he continues to watch the church. A helicopter flies overhead. Gilbert's group makes a run for it into the hills. The LAPD arrives in force with SWAT to raid the church.
This is a tough scene.
Yeah, it is.
Clearing the encampment is it's pretty. It's like John Carpenter has a tendency, he's sort of a fantastical storyteller. Everything has a bit of a fantasy element to it, even the more mundane things. And this is just straight up reality.
Yeah. There's a realism to it. Mm-hmm. The thing that I noticed is throughout this is he kind of reuses some imagery that he used in Escape from New York. Mm-hmm. Like the way that the cops all look. Like you very seldom see a cop's face. When they show up in force, they've all got those visors like they do in Escape from New York.
I don't know that they would have sent them in like riot gear to do this. Maybe, but I doubt it. I think they would probably just send uniformed officers.
Yeah, when the camp gathers to watch, more cops arrive with riot gear and a tractor to flatten the camp and force them all out. Yeah, everybody runs. Some of the people in the camp fight back, but a phalanx of cops force them back and beat them down.
Now, apparently, Roddy Piper had some experience being homeless in his past, and he said this was very painful to do this scene because it felt very real to him. Very painful to watch, too. Yeah. Also, this is where it starts to feel, again, we get those parallels to now, like, is in a few moments from now, they're like beating the blind preacher, which, feels a little icy to me.
Yeah. So Nada runs down the bank and into an alley where the cops have the preacher and the TV guy cornered. They beat them both down. And Nada quietly moves on, helping one of the kids from the camp escape more cops. And they climb up into an abandoned apartment building in a scene heavily reminiscent of Snake Plissken's Escape from the Crazies and Escape from New York. And then they find more people in the camp just hiding out.
Yeah, there's a lot, I think, to this movie that feels he is pulling from Escape from New York in particular.
Yeah, because it is the same sort of social, like, disillusionment in systems and skepticism that kind of fueled both movies. Yeah. So in the morning, they gather at the former site of the camp, now just an empty lot. Nearby TV broadcasts an ad for some luxury fashion brand about how decadent it is as everyone sorts through what's left of the camp. Across the street, the church is all bombed out as if it were on fire. Nada sneaks into the basement to find all the boxes gone, and he looks behind the false wall and finds undiscovered boxes. He takes one and sneaks off to where he can crack it open and see what all the fuss is about. And inside, he just finds dozens of pairs of sunglasses.
It's cheap blue blockers.
I suppose he was expecting to find drugs or guns or something. So he stashes the box in a garbage can. Takes a pair before
Arguably
leaving.
not a good place to put
Probably the least, if you want to save it, probably don't put it in a garbage can.
quite famously taken away.
Or occupied by Oscar the Grouch.
True, also true.
Yeah. So he takes a pair before leaving the alley, takes a walk through the city. Putting on the glasses, he finds that all the color is gone from his vision. He looks at a nearby billboard for some computer equipment. It simply says, "Obey," in all caps. Bold.
Why black and white, do you suppose? Just because it's stark? The contrast is stark?
Yes.
Because
otherwise, I don't know.
Everything is going to, like, the signs are all black, like black text, white background. And so maybe just because that works best that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to show the visual contrast in terms of like what's actually the message being sent out there and what's like the reality we're being fed. So, I mean, I look at it in that sense, but also symbolically, black and white could symbolize how trapped we are. So it's like we are trapped in this world that we think we know, where the truth, ironically, is this sort of black and white with not a lot of variety. So it's all pretty straightforward of this is what's going on. This is actually how simple it is, but all this complexity is added on top of it to blind us from actually what the real message is. So that's how I look at it.
My other thought was like the flashiness of color and lights and all that. Once you strip it away, it's like, here's the real message.
Yeah, it's smoke screen.
Just bracked.
Look, when it, you know, Hollywood optics. So like when you see a lot of shiny optics, you got to be like, okay, well, what's really going on here? Because you clearly, or it's like the magician's assistant. If the magician's insisting, look at the assistant, it's like, okay, well, something else is obviously happening here. So, I don't know. I always, anytime I see black and white on screen, I'm always happy about it. But that was just always my personal interpretation of show that sort of visual contrast in terms of what the truth is and what the truth we're being fed, or the story we're being told versus what the story is, rather.
There also at this time, there was something that was happening on television and in video, and they actually take some jabs at it in some background chatter in the movie. Is Ted Turner was colorizing black and white movies.
Oh, yeah.
And so this could have just been John being like, you know, here's a modern movie. Fuck you, Ted Turner. I'm going to put some of it in black and white.
I'm going to do what I want.
Nobody tells me what to do. You know. So he looks around some more, seeing a sign which very simply says, "Marry and reproduce." As a matter of fact, all the city's signage is revealed to be an illusion, hiding a simple 1 or 2 word command to buy, consume, watch TV, don't think for yourself. And the things get weirder at a newsstand. All the magazines are just page after page of these commands.
Magazines. Magazines fun.
remember magazines when you used to like open them up and they're made of paper?
Remember?
That's weird. Remember segregation?
Do I?
So yeah, all the magazines, just page after page. When he looks at the man buying a newspaper nearby, he looks hideous and ghoulish, the furthest thing from a normal man. Nada can't believe what he's seeing. And the guy running the newsstand comes over to tell Nada to beat it. He holds a wad of money in his hand. The bills all just say, "This is your God."
Subtle.
Walking along the street, Nada sees all member of silly-looking retro sci-fi stuff, like dishes on light posts broadcasting a subliminal signal, repeating the word sleep.
Now, why would his sunglasses enable him to hear something he hear?
Because he's broken the spell, I guess. I don't know.
That is John Carpenter saying sleep.
Yeah. Little flying saucers just zipping all over the place. At a hair salon, he sees another one of those ghoulish people, and then another loading her shopping into a car. They interact with regular people who don't seem to notice. They all have one thing in common, though. They're all rich. Which is another detail that I never really noticed before. This movie has 2 distinctions of class. There is rich people and there are poor people, and there's nothing in between.
Because at the time, too, there was the shrinking middle class. We were moving towards essentially what we have now, where there were rich people and poor people.
Yeah.
And that was it. So there was this feeling like this ability to get by with just a normal job was going away.
Yeah. So Nada stumbles into a grocery store, seeing it full of those freaks.
One of my favorite quotes is in this scene where the woman goes, "She served me corn tortillas." So dated.
They're called fascinators in the original short story, which I think is pretty cool.
What are
the ghouls are called that? That's what their names are. Yeah. On a nearby TV, a political candidate who is actually one of those things stands in front of a huge sign which says "Obey." He delivers a speech very similar to Reagan's famous "Morning in America" ads in 1984.
Yes, a new morning in America. Fresh, vital.
There's no need for pessimism.
Yes.
I think a good riddance every time I hear that line. A lady bumps into Nada as he's standing there. He turns to find one of those things looking at him, and he tells her, "You know, your head looks like it fell in the cheese dip back in 1957.
Okay, look. He's going to be ad-libbing his lines throughout this whole fucking movie.
Hey, it's what he's... Listen, this is what Carpenter hired him for. This shit he was just popping off. Apparently...
the Rowdy Roddy experience, you're going to get the Rowdy Roddy experience.
Apparently Piper had like a notebook that he kept whenever he'd have some like new insult would come to mind, he'd just write it down for the next promo he was going to cut.
Wow.
I'm all for that.
That's where the all out of bubblegum one came from. Is like that's one that he actually had written down.
And you can feel. I think my issue with them is not that they're cheesy. They are cheesy. They're incredibly stupid. But
I love them. I love them so much.
It's the '80s. Give it a break, Dave. It's 1980. Come on, man. But take it easy, man. Have you ever watched wrestling in the '80s?
They're delivered in such a way that feels different from his other line delivery.
Sure.
And I think that's sort of why every time I hear it, I'm like, ugh, thud.
Well, that's when Nada becomes Roddy, like, because
that's
all habits die
hard.
hard.
Making a movie.
Sure. But I mean, look, I try to always, and that's very valid, but I'm also like, look, that's a tall order to be the star of a John Carpenter film when you're used to one way of doing stuff, which is on the road, on the mic, coming up with stuff, writing promos the night before, and then doing it on no sleep. All things considered, like, yeah, could you consider Roddy Piper a great actor compared to what? You know what I mean? But I think like,
it's not with his acting. My issue is with these particular lines that feel like a different character.
And that's fair. But me personally, I love them. I think they're great. 10 out of 10, no notes. Like that's because it's like, I also want Roddy Piper to be cutting promos in like a very 80s way, but if that's not your cup of tea, fair. But I'm just saying me just speaking on myself. I'm like, no notes. I love them.
Well, you know something, Mean Gene.
I'm going to crush you up and put you in my spaghetti. Like, that's the kind of promos they would cut in the 80s. Remember Vader?
Yeah.
May he rest in power. That's what he said, I think, to like Jake the Snake. I'm like, that's awesome. I love that.
So he looks around him, and more of them are describing him into their watches, because the lady, when she realizes what's going on, she speaks into her watch. I've got one that can see. So Nada leaves, tries to play it cool out on the street, but a couple of cops tackle him and push him into an alley. And they're both those monsters, and they try to talk him into coming with them, but he clotheslines one and beats the crap out of the other, stealing his gun. And that's another thing I love, is all of the fight moves are fucking wrestling moves.
Hell yeah.
So they get back up, and he shoots both cops, then raids their car for the shotgun and batons. Wanted level 3 stars.
And so this is where there is another shift in this character that feels out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden, like, yeah, I think he does. The veil has been lifted, so to speak.
Maybe there's this whole like backstory to George Nada that we don't know. Like maybe back in Denver, he was a violent psychopath and it just took nothing to throw him over.
He starts as a character. This is that problem of inconsistency. He starts as a character that is very much like just go along to get along. You do your part. Honest work, all of me, rah.
Yeah. He's just a humble. He's just a
cops.
He's the humble little guy who turns into a fucking mass murderer overnight.
And he's just walking down the street like, okay, I understand the sort of destruction of the fantasy, but he's also seems like a violent psycho now, and that seems like a big shift.
Yeah. So Nada enters.
It's very Better Call Saul. Remember he tried to play the rules, but he's like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I think it's just I don't know. They didn't dwell on it obviously, but it's very much if you can, from a certain point of view, rather, when you see that, you could consider that not as like psychotic break. So that could explain the shift. He
was just a man on edge the whole time, just holding it back.
Or he is Charles Bronson from Hard Times, and that was his past in Denver. Like he was doing street fights, and he was just trying to suppress it, and now it's all let out.
This, I think, is where the sort of consistency in criticism in the from the critics is very much that it's like he had an idea, and he took that idea to a certain point, and the idea seems like it kind of ran out of gas, and then he was like, well. Yeah, it's an ass-kicking movie now, I guess. Let's go.
Yeah. So, he tells them in the bank, I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
It's cold. Cold line, man. Again, no notes. 10 out of 10.
It's so great. It's so great. Then he opens fire on the guards and the ghouls, sees one describing him to his watch and turns the gun on him, but he disappears in a blink before Nada can shoot him.
Yeah, some Power Ranger shit, man.
Yeah. Sneaks out the back and blasts a little flying saucer before catching a cop at gunpoint. When he notices that he's just a regular guy, he tells him to beat it.
It's like one of those, remember the games with the light gun from Nintendo, where was it Shogun Alley, maybe?
Hogan's Alley?
Yeah, Hogan's Alley, where you'd have to like shoot, and then it would be like a lady with a baby pops up, and you can't shoot the lady with the baby.
Yep. So in a nearby parking garage, Holly Thompson is walking back to her luxury car.
Okay. Holly Thompson. She's the first character in this movie that has two names. Nada doesn't have a name. Frank has one name. Holly has a full name.
Yeah, this is true. Yep. She's grabbed suddenly, Kyle Reese style, by Nada, who pulls her into her car and has her drive him out of there, away from the army of cops who are out looking for him. Again, 3-star wanted level. With the glasses on, Nada can see that she's a human. He has her drive her back to her place, a luxury home on the hillsides above Sunset Boulevard, I think. Is that where that is?
It's very Hollywood Hillsy. I don't know, that's a good assumption. I would say Hollywood Hills. Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure that her house is the same house that Franklin moves into after the first act of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Well, it's how you know you're in Los Angeles.
Okay, so do you think we'll get a They Live 2 before Grand Theft Auto 6? So that's my question for you.
Yeah. So once inside, Nada flops down on the floor and chills, looking for a break. Wearing the glasses too long seems to have a weird side effect, like crashing out from drugs. Like a crazy person, he tries to explain to her what he saw out there, but she's playing along like the hostage that she is.
Admittedly, it sounds a little crazy.
He's the classic, like, homeless psycho who's just like, it's aliens running the world. And she's like, yes, aliens are definitely running the world.
He's the classic Cassandra complex in horror movies, but he usually is the woman who's trying to tell people the danger, as Cassandra was back in Greek mythology. But in this case, it's the dude who's trying to convince people.
So he appears to fall asleep. Holly gets up to make her move, but he's no dummy. She grabs a drink from a nearby cart and they talk a little bit. She works for Cable 54. Excited, he gets up to tell her that they're broadcasting some kind of signal to everybody's TV set. She hits him with a bottle and throws his ass out the window, sending him tumbling down the hill. He's taking a beating in this movie, and it's about to get worse.
She threw him off the top rope. Like, it was like, that's the top rope on a different level, like the way that she threw him off her balcony.
She calls up the police while Nada stumbles away without his glasses, down the hillside and back into the city where he falls asleep in an alley. In the morning, he wanders back over to the job site, tries to talk to Frank, who wants nothing to do with him. Nada wants to show Frank what he saw, but Frank tells him to fuck off. Out of the streets of L.A., they're showing his face on TVs everywhere. Nada wanders back to the alley where he stashed the box of glasses, but he finds the garbage can empty. There's a garbage truck right nearby, so he runs over and pops it up, climbing in to dig around until he finds a box.
And thank God he found the garbage truck that's full of shredded paper and silver confetti. Otherwise,
not like buffalo wings and diapers.
Mm.
And then for some reason, the truck turns its trailer upright and dumps everything out in the alley, Nada included. Frank enters the alley, throws a fold of money into the empty box. Nada puts on the glasses to make sure that Frank is real. He wants Frank to put the glasses on, but he wants none of this. So they square up for what was originally supposed to be a 30-second fight, but they had so much fun choreographing it that Carpenter just shot the whole thing.
I will argue it goes on maybe a little too long. It starts to feel like Peter and the chicken after a while.
That's 6 minutes. It's like a 6-minute fight scene. Is it the best fight scene? One could make an argument for that. Is it one of my top 3 favorites? 100%. Is it the most realistic? Top 3 for sure. Because I love that they take breaks. They're out of breath. They think it's over, but then it's not over.
Yep.
Could it have been 5 minutes and 30 seconds shorter? Absolutely. But I'm glad it wasn't.
I like when I think he hits the car with the 2x4 and he gets this look of shock and he says, "Oh my God, I'm sorry."
I love that he says sorry because it's like that's not Frank's car, but he's like so apologetic about it.
Yeah, well, I think
but he starts to laugh too.
It implies that he's like, "Whoa, this is getting out of hand."
He's like, I almost hit you with that thing.
Yeah, it looks like it's over after a few punches, but Frank offers Nada his hand to get him off the ground and then beats him some more. Nada tries to hit him in the balls, but Frank is too quick. And it's one of my favorite line deliveries where he's like, "You dirty motherfucker."
Ooh, you dirty motherfucker.
And the fight continues, escalating, each guy wailing on the other one harder and harder. Nada hands Frank the glasses, but he drops them and makes like he's going to step on them. It's just a feint so he can kick Nada. They continue beating on one another, doing some suplexes and wrestling, shit, a leg drag, the old iron claw. It goes on and on and on, with neither side appearing to win. When they're both gassed, Nada flips Frank and forces him to put the glasses on. And then he walks him out into the street and shows him the real world. And Frank freaks the fuck out. Each one now.
I love that fight scene, by the way, but also when I viewed it this time around, what I look at it is when I break down the two characters, Nada has this awareness, like he's woken up from the dream, and Frank is resistance. Frank has been preaching, keep your head down, stay out of trouble. So that 6-minute fight scene is this like resistance to the truth. I think Frank is like, hey, if you know something, I'm good not knowing. I've been staying out of trouble. I'm good. So it took that 6 minutes of them scuffling, and Roddy Piper almost hit him with a 2x4, but instead hit the back windshield of an old car for like Frank to like see what he didn't want to see. But now it's very much Pandora's jar sort of thing of like, okay, now I can't unsee it. So for those reasons, symbolically, in addition to just visually and how it just keeps dragging on and on, I love that fight scene.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's fantastic. It's like such a weird characteristic because like the fight scenes don't do that unless it's The Matrix or something, or a Jackie Chan movie or something like that. But they just like American action scenes don't do that, and they're very seldom shot as well as this one is.
They very seldom have rhythm, and just like Jackie Chan movies, they do have rhythm because he's very careful about, hey, make sure it's a 1, 2, 3. He does it like a dance. Where here they find it in the edit, and if you notice, they cut on every single hit when it's very obvious that they got to go the stunt double. Where you're absolutely right, Brian. In American cinema, let alone back in like the 80s, they weren't shooting it like that, you know. And even the Karate Kid, they're making sure they cut away so it's Machio's stunt double doing the crane kick. And
So each one now wearing the Hoffman glasses, they walk down the street, wandering into a burnt-out hotel, and ask for a room where they can recover. Frank wants answers that Nada doesn't have. Where are they from? How long have they been here? We have to find people who made the glasses. So by night, Nada tells Frank about his childhood, how he ended up on the street, an abusive father. It's a really weird scene that feels out of place.
Extremely strange monologue. It feels very out of place. And it's bleak and it's very, very serious. And again, it's one of those moments where you're sort of yanked out of the movie for a minute. And you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. So Frank suggests that these things are out here in the world. They might have always been with us, and they might take some kind of pleasure in watching us eat each other alive like that. On his way back into the hotel with some groceries, Frank runs into Gilbert, who follows him up. He gives them an address to meet at where the rest of the resistance is meeting. So that night they walk over, and a burly biker dude with a shotgun lets them in, suggesting that there's a new development happening. He points to his eyes. One of the ladies from the camp greets them and has them replace the glasses with some contact lenses. Same effect as the glasses, with none of the headache.
We also get Al Leong cameo.
Oh, yeah, he's coming up. As soon as I saw him leap out of the alley, I was like, God, yes. Most recognizable stuntman in Hollywood.
It kind of makes you wonder, was he supposed to have maybe a larger role?
Maybe. Or he was just choreographing or coordinating the action scene. He was like, hey, I'm in everything else. Why not?
I like him.
Good. I love him. So Gilbert explains how things are changing on the street. The Fascinators recruit humans to work against other humans and keep them down. When you join up, they welcome you in with wealth and status. TV Guy is back on an uninterrupted channel explaining how they're changing our own climate to be more like their own native planet. So they're also kind of ahead of the curve on climate change as well. So they called it global warming back then. Gilbert explains that Fascinators are basically America in the 20th century, spaceborne capitalists who infiltrate developing planets and exploit their resources at the expense of the native inhabitants. And then they tool up over at the table covered in guns. They're given one of those magic watches. You can listen to them talk to one another over it. And in a pinch, if you can figure out how it works, you can vanish into thin air like they do. Group is getting wound up. Gilbert urges them to be chill and bide their time. They don't have the numbers yet for a frontal assault. Gilbert points out that one of their guys working at KRDA, Cable 54, and then it might be coming from there, the signal that is. But before they can say...
He's like, hey, be cool, everybody. Also, here's an assault rifle.
here's calm down. There's a shitload of guns. Everybody just take one. Everybody just like get real comfortable with it. Okay, now everybody calm down.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. But before they can say much more about the TV station, Holly just arrived, interrupts the group to tell them that that's not the place. I guess we're just supposed to take her word for it. Nada's like, hey, baby, where you been? They have this weird moment where they try and chat it up, but before things can get much more awkward, the wall explodes and an army of heavily armed cops marches in, all guns blazing. And everybody that isn't mowed down runs out back into the street. Nada and Frank duck into an alley where cops shoot at them from the roof. And then, this is where a wild Al Leong appears in the firefight. They find themselves cornered at the end of the alley as more cops approach. Frank fucks with the watch until he drops it. It malfunctions and opens up a spooky hole in the ground that the two of them jump through, finding themselves in a weird underground tunnel.
Yes, this is a bit of a Deus Ex moment, I think.
They sneak down the hall, overhearing some guards talking about how the operation to crush the resistance was a success. They talk into one of those PKE meter props from Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love how they use it like we're all not supposed to just immediately recognize that prop. So Nada and Frank sneak until they come upon an opulent ballroom where a dude stands at the podium addressing a room full of rich white people, the collaborators, about how they're killing it out there. And they're cornering more and more money and power.
I love how they put their guns away, like so as not to look conspicuous when everybody else is wearing like formal attire.
Right. All of a sudden, here comes Buck Flower, previously seen as a ratty homeless dude, and now he's all gussied up in a tux, sipping on champagne.
That made me happy, because he's also read The Bum and Back to the Future. So it's like, dude, the guy pulled himself together by aligning with aliens.
A homeless man in everything.
Yeah.
Until now.
Yep. Seeing Frank and Nada, he assumes that they're in the country club too now. I've always wondered how you go about selling out to these freaks, because with this guy in the house, it seems like they'll take anyone.
Yeah. Pretty low bar.
Well, I think that's what they want, because they want you to obey. And, they know that incentivizing somebody like Red the Bum from Back to the Future is probably not going to take much convincing.
Yep. He takes them on a tour of the underground. The first stop is at a sort of spaceport where they witness people step onto a platform, which fires them out into space toward another planet. Next stop is a control room at KRDA, where it's revealed that they're broadcasting the sleep signal to the entire world, which seems a little precarious to me. There's no redundancy. If the signal fails here for any reason, for any amount of time, the jig is up.
Also, the Buck Flower character, this guy has been hanging out with them for like 10 minutes, but now he has access to like everything. He knows where what every room is. Just give them a tour.
Yeah. So the tour ends at Cable 54's newsroom. And when security asks for their security cards, Nada and Frank open fire on them. They turn their guns on their turncoat buddy, who starts shaking in their boots. He stammers, there's no countries anymore. It's just them now. They own everything and can do whatever they want. What's the problem? May as well sell out and be on the winning team.
Which is apparently something that an executive at Universal said to John Carpenter.
He's not wrong, man. Like, I mean, there are nations and states in theory, but like there are people with so much fucking money that they operate completely above that status.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I'm talking about Elon Musk.
Oh,
and Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg.
Supervillains.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He vanishes with his magic watch as another security guy walks up on them. So Frank and Nada enter the newsroom, finding it staffed almost entirely by aliens. They mow them all down and enter the offices, weaving through the cubicles to find the source of the broadcast. And for Nada, for some fucking reason, he needs to find Holly.
Yeah, they don't really give you much. Like, he is all of a sudden really smitten.
Yeah.
And there's really no explanation for that, because she hit him with a bottle. And
I was going to say, the last time we saw the two of them together, she was literally throwing him out a window.
Yeah. So he's maybe, I don't know if like there was more. It's like a lot of things in this movie. Like, you could have just cut that. He could have just cut the page because he wants to.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like she could have shown up at the end, and it would have had the same effect of her just being like, "Drop the gun, dude." Yeah. So they meet a lot of resistance on the way, but they do eventually run into Holly. The Nada grabs her, and they run to the roof. He charges forward, and as soon as he's out of sight, Holly puts a gun to Frank's head and shoots him.
Oh,
no good. No good. A bummer. I hate it.
Yep.
Fucking hate it. On the roof, Nada finds the device and is about to shoot it when Holly comes along, gun drawn, telling them that there's nothing he can do. He can't win. A couple of helicopters come along and put their guns on him. He drops his gun, but thinks for a moment, declaring, fuck it. And he pulls a small revolver out of his sleeve, shooting Holly first and then the broadcast device. And then the snipers in the helicopter shoot him, and the device explodes. In his dying moment, Nada flips off the device. Or maybe us in a fourth wall breaking moment. It's kind of hard to tell.
Kind of a bummer of an ending.
It really is. So now we cut to television broadcasts around the country. The newscasters are aliens. Siskel and Ebert complaining about horror movies George Romero and John Carpenter.
Max Reed.
Oh, fuck. Are revealed to be aliens. The spell is broken and people are seeing the aliens as they are all over the place. They're just hanging out in bars. They're having sex with sexy chicks. The world is collectively horrified. Cut to black. Roll credits. They live. It's a goddamn movie. I love it.
It's my favorite. I don't think it's John Carpenter's best, objectively speaking, but it is my personal favorite.
What would be his? Well, Halloween. Halloween
and like The Thing. You know, I mean, I love Escape from New York too. Like, and we talked about this, Brian, when we were at the Carpenter. I love, in its own way, I love Escape from LA. You know, but my second favorite is actually Christine. Like, I love Christine. There's something about that I'm very fond of. But I think his best, will probably have to be Halloween, and close second, The Thing, maybe, if you're talking objectively speaking.
Yeah.
Of what his best crafted films are.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like, everybody knows. I've said it 1,000 times. We did an entire, 2.5 hour episode about it. Escape from New York will forever be my favorite.
I think that's the second best.
Yeah.
You know what? I would put Big Trouble in Little China in my top 5. It has some problems.
Sure.
More than a few problems. But I think creativity wise, it is a wildly creative fantasy movie that is very much of its time, but it is, I think, his most creative movie.
And you get really fun Kurt Russell in that one.
Do.
Yeah. Like Kurt Russell really feeling himself in that one. Yeah. This one, it is deeply flawed.
Yeah.
And I agree with most of your criticism. Like it's wildly uneven. But I think that it is the fact that it feels so relevant all the fucking time speaks to.
I think it says more about us than it does about John Carpenter.
Yeah, but I think that it adds a dimension to this movie that his other ones don't have.
It's a two-pronged horror in this one because like in Halloween, there's one clear villain, which is Michael Myers. With this one, is it the aliens? But it's also the humans that cooperate with the aliens. You know what I mean? Because it's like, the aliens are controlling the perception, which in turn controls, reality. But at the same time, humans aren't just the victims, they're participants in that actual wrongdoing of the aliens. So it's this whole kind of complexity to it, which is very thought-provoking. So it's like, the whole thing is like the aliens didn't win up to this point because they were like stronger or more, I don't know, they were just observant. They were very opportunistic. But also they won because humans said yes to their request. You know, so it's very two-pronged in that sense.
Yeah, I think
he loses some of his. I do think he was losing some steam here, but he works best when he has this usual crew or like a familiar crew that he has with him and people that he's collaborating with. And he doesn't really have most of those people on this. Like, Deborah Hill's long gone.
No Dean Cundy.
Yeah, like the original group that he was so successful with them.
Oh, right. Yeah, because there's no Nick Castle. There's no Tommy Lee Wallace on this. Like he is kind of afloat. Maybe that really is the sort of the explanation.
Comes from his ability to lead a very talented, team of collaborators and inspire people. And once that, I think those people moved on in their own careers and they probably get replaced by sort of industry people and, stalwart crew. and he just doesn't have the same connection, and the vibe isn't there. And so I think that's maybe for me what feels a little bit off is that it doesn't have that same magic that his other movies have. It's a fun movie. I like this. It's good. It is unfortunately very relevant still, but for me, it's missing that kind of that John Carpenter like explosive creativity.
Yeah, I'll give you that for sure, 100%. I think that's a pretty good explanation for kind of what happens to him towards the end of the 80s and going into the 90s. I do think that this is probably his most thoughtful movie. You know?
Yeah, maybe in a more deliberate way.
Yeah,
he's really got something to say.
Like he's got something to say, and I think that he very effectively communicates it. It's a blunt instrument that he's using, but he gets the point across, and we're still talking about it as though it's the first time. So,
and he's also seems like one of those guys where he just didn't. He was sort of like, I think maybe I'm sort of done making movies, but he just kind of kept making movies.
Yeah.
And they for the most part aren't very good. There's a couple that I think are okay, but like he really seems like he shifted his interests elsewhere and really wanted to focus elsewhere, but he needed to keep making movies because music's probably not going to pay the bill.
Didn't have the cachet to really make a music career happen at the time.
Yeah, because this is really the last one that he kind of on.
That also speaks to the predatory nature of Hollywood too, and also I also see like this whole commentary on how systems can be the villain as well. In this case, like the system of the aliens that created and who's going to buy into that, who's going to live comfortably inside this system. Had Carpenter had rights or like getting paid for Halloween subsequently for the sequels, maybe he wouldn't have felt backed into a corner of I had to keep making movies to make a living sort of thing. It's like you look at someone like a Tom Holland who directed Child's Play or did Fright Night. He doesn't make any money off of that. His name's on it as like a director, and he still had to hustle his way, and he still goes to conventions now whenever he can to try to just make a few bucks to pay his mortgage, So you bring that up just now, David, just made me think about, like if he actually was being paid like how he should have been, because his name is forever attached to Halloween, but he is not by any means benefiting financially from that as much as you would think with his name being attached to Halloween, you know what I mean? But when you don't have any other choice and maybe the only place that's going to hire you, maybe in a way he was Nada. It's like all Nada could do is do construction because he's just this big guy that could just do manual labor. What else was John Carpenter going to be hired as other than like a film director? So so I can see that. Yeah, you bring that up. I never thought of it in that sense, admittedly, because I get so caught up in the messages of the movie. But, me being in this business in my 18th year now and having seen certain things up close, I was like, whoa, wow. Yeah, you gave me a whole other perspective of where he might have been mentally when he made this movie and where his motivation may have not been as much as it would have been in the early 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he definitely seems less grumpy now. I think that he seems like he's doing what he's wanted to do for a long time, and that is not make movies.
Yeah, he looked extremely happy at that concert. Like he was having a great time.
We saw him on stage. He was living.
Yeah, loved it.
He was in his element.
That guy happy.
And that's the dream right there, that he was living on stage, just like his own music. People are having a good time, and he's flashing the cymbals on stage. I'm like, okay, it's John Carpenter found happiness, which is good, and he's choosing happiness, which is also a nice thing to see because I'm sure there were some rough and lean years for him leading up to that point. Yeah,
sure. There is one of the things like there is a constant through line through a lot of his movies, particularly everything past, I would say, The Thing. There is this kind of like bitter buzz of frustration that runs through a lot of this, like all of the sort of weird like spots that he tries to sort of like he tries to play by Hollywood. He tries to do like something more commercial. Christine, he does a Stephen King movie. He does Starman, which is the furthest thing from a John Carpenter movie, and still the money's not coming in. The reviews are bad. Like everybody's like, this John Carpenter guy's a fucking fool. And like obviously history has proven the press wrong, but like in the moment, like he still seems very bitter about The Thing when people talk about it. So there's a weirdness about that. So it is very nice to see John Carpenter these days just fulfilled.
Living his life.
Just smoking weed, playing video games,
thinking weird thoughts,
playing with synthesizers. Mm-hmm. John, thank you so much for joining us. It's great. It was great to have you for the first time. Hopefully, the first of many appearances here.
Hey, look, if you do RoboCop, I formally request I would love to come back and talk some RoboCop because I got some RoboCop trivia and everything.
Awesome. Does it have to do with Oreos?
No, but you've seen that documentary as well. I could.
Robo wants an
Robo
Oreo.
wants an Oreo. No, I do have a Peter Weller story because I did a few days on Star Trek Into Darkness, and also my friend used to write for like NCIS, and I remember I was there for the episode he wrote and Peter Weller was directing. But we'll save that story for another time to keep incentivizing your listeners to keep on coming back. Not that you need my help for that, because I really like what you guys are doing here and the whole world you're building, because I do feel like podcasting these days is world building. It's not just, hey, let's make a great show, make sure it's quality, because those days are gone. I think you could have done that 10 years ago, definitely 15, 20 years ago when Kevin Smith and those guys first started out. But like, I think you had to build a network, and you guys are doing a great job of that. And I hope you do Erie, Indiana, in addition to what you're doing with Are You Afraid in the Dark. So just throwing that out there.
Ruin it. Don't ruin it for us.
How did I ruin it? I was asking for it. You kind of cut that part, Brian.
All right, I'll cut that shit out. Listen, you got a great show. Why don't you tell everybody all about it?
Oh, I appreciate it. Well, it's called That Was Pretty Scary with the Morbid Network, which you might be familiar with. Have you heard of them? I think they may have a future in this.
In passing. They
might have a future in this podcasting business. I think those girls, Ash and Elena, I think there's something to them. They might have
Fingers
a shot.
crossed.
Yeah, that's always the hope. But it's called That Was Pretty Scary, and originally started out me and Freddie Prinze Jr., but Freddie left the show last season. But Morbid was gracious enough to keep the show going with me as the solo host. But I've been bringing on a lot of guests, and very much by design, I've been bringing on a lot of women onto the show, because I do feel like, despite the fact that women have been ruling horror for decades upon decades upon decades, even to the point where we had the final girl who becomes the hero of these horror movies, I feel like, unfortunately, we're very lacking in terms of a lot of female perspectives being put out there in terms of what they think of horror movies, how they break them down. So I've been very much on a mission this season of inviting really badass female filmmakers or just female fans of horror. And we got a lot of that coming up this season, but also I'm going to hopefully bring on you guys, because I'm uncovering some forgotten gems that we might have forgotten about, like something like The Outing from like 1987 that, had the coolest poster, but maybe not the coolest movie. But like, so stuff like that we want to talk about. But also, Dave, I know we're going to sidebar with some of the historical stuff. I did a whole mini series during Black History Month about blaxploitation horror, which was coupled with the author Michael Harriot, who wrote Black AF History. And he was able to fill in a lot of gaps of what blaxploitation actually was. So I'm just trying to do my own. I'm like what you guys are doing here in terms of world building, I'm trying to do the same at That Was Pretty Scary. So it's just available wherever you get your podcasts, and Instagram at That Was Pretty Scary. And I'm at Jon Lee Brody, John without the H, with the LEE and BRODY. I know that I just made it more confusing, but you'll figure it out.
All right. Well, definitely listen to That Was Pretty Scary. Great show. You're a great host. You're a great guest. I'm glad you dropped by for this one. That said, what's next, Dave?
Oh, well, Bring Me the Axe, like you said, coming back next week. We're heading north for some sweet chili chills that are 1983's Curtains. And in 2 weeks, 99-cent rental will return with the absolutely bewildering ninja grindhouse mess, Ninja Terminator.
Oh, boy. Oh, God, I cannot.
It's a confusing movie.
Listen. We've done some hard shit to talk about here. This is going to be a real challenge. I cannot wait to talk about Godfrey Ho. Nobody makes a movie like that guy. So yeah,
for the love of the game. I cannot explain it any other way.
I can't figure it out. Hundreds of movies, more movies I think than Jess Franco even, and most of them involve ninjas. So. Yeah. Hey, we'll see you back here next week with Curtains, and then fucking, put your seatbelts on. It's going to be a weird one with Ninja Terminator.